Hello and welcome to Hanratty on Karate. Been a little bit busy here with the summer, although the club has gone down to summer hours where we just do one mixed class daily and we put the grades together. I've always liked doing a mixed class because it gives us a good chance to iron out all of the faults that you come across in the basics. And this week I took the opportunity to really go through the anatomy of kicking, and I did a full hour and a half or more on just kicks. And I only got as far as 3 kicks, to be honest with you. What we were doing is going through basic snap kicks, and I think we got one thrust technique in. But basically the snapping kicks is Maigeri front snap kick and Mawashi-geri round snap kick. And then we were looking to side kick, and I kind of segued into thrust kick, Yoko-geri Kikomi. So the way I started these is you have to look at the weapon that's being used in the kick. Now, I know a lot of people will just say, oh, well, it's the foot. But different parts of the foot are different weapons, and you use different delivery methods to deliver that weapon to the target. It's like punching. You can do a straight Suken punch. You can do a Tachisuki where the fist is vertical. You can do a Urasuki where the fist palm would be facing towards you with a fist. And you can do a Mawashi-suki, which is a round punch, or, you call it, in boxing, they're all different terms. So we looked at this from the position of kicking, just from looking at it from kicks. And in most kicks, we always come from the chamber position. So in the chamber position, basically you want your support leg bent and your weight dropped down and forward of your heel so that your line of gravity is on the greater part of your base. Of course, if you lean back towards your heel, you're going to fall backwards. But you bend the knee also to drop the center of gravity. You lift the kicking leg up as high as you can, then roll the toes back so they expose the ball of the foot, and trying to keep the foot parallel to the floor, extend the leg and the hip at the same time so both hips push forward and the foot extends from the knee in a straight line, just for a stomach level kick, for example, with the ball of the foot exposed. Now, this is generally your basic kick. However, it's amazing how many people cannot extend from the ankle, and at the same time they can, push their foot forward. The kick tends to go up and the heel goes forward, and so the kick arcs back towards them. So we did a couple of drills for this, and one of the drills was I had the students lie on the back on the floor, both legs flat on the floor, then keeping one leg flat, say the left leg flat on the floor, heel pushed to the floor, back of knee to the floor, raise the other knee up as high as you can, and then try to extend the ball of your foot straight up, or even further back if you like. And even moderately flexible students had a problem just getting to 90 degrees. Then once we got them pushing that past 90 degrees, and it's basically a hamstring stretch if you're interested, get your hams loose before you try it. We'd snap the foot up and down, but making sure that the ball of the foot was the part of that was delivered to the target. So it's not so bad lying on the floor. You can really flex your ankle and push the ball of the foot towards the target. Then we try to do it fast, and as you extend the foot, lift your hips off the floor without raising the opposite leg. Work on that. The next part of the drill would be from standing position with the support leg bent, as I said, center of gravity dropped, and then snap your kick out. Try to snap it with a pendulum action from the hip, and then catch the returning ankle with both hands. Now, if you can't catch the ankle, maybe, just at least below the knee. It should be a capable thing for most students. So this was a pretty good drill for getting the correct delivery of a front kick from the chamber position, which is the knee raised. So we then did it from a front stance, senkotsudachi, kick, snap back, step down, without dropping the knee. So you lift the knee, push the hip, extend the kick, return the knee to the same position and foot back almost, as far back as you can, and then bend the support leg and ease your way forward without your heel coming off the floor. And make sure you go out to the correct width distance for your front stance. So having achieved that and ironed it all out and got a couple of students to demonstrate why we need to lift the knee, how to acquire the target and snap your kick. We then got some kick pads, which we have in our dojo, and if you haven't got them, you should get some, because nothing improves your kicks like kicking into something rather than fresh air. And I had them hit the pads with full power, seeing how much power they could get off the kicks, and having the kick going in rather than up the pad, so that the heel's not exposed to the target, rather the ball of foot. So kick goes in, and we did that at different heights. Did that full power against pads. Amazing how many kicks turned into pushes rather than a snapping kick where you deliver a sharp snap and a sharp delivery of kinetic energy into the target, which is really obvious when you're holding a pad. You can feel when there's a bit of juice behind the kick rather than just a push. So after that, we just drop the pads and just blouse out the gi top a little bit, the uniform top, so that it's, a couple of inches away from the body, and then try to flick it with the ball of the foot on a fast kick. So this entails getting your foot off the floor as fast as you can, almost ripping it off the floor like you'd rip a Band-Aid off a cut, so that you didn't increase the pain intensity and duration. So you rip your foot off the floor as fast as you can, driving the knee and extending the foot and hip at the same time. And flick the gi top and then back down. And this proved quite popular, and not many people got kicked. I say not many, of course there was some, but not many. But it certainly improved the speed of the kick. So that was a nice little drill. One other drill I wanted to push on was for extending the kick. And so what we'd have a person do is stand in front of a part, and both in front stance, push one kick out to the knee as slowly as possible and withdraw, keeping the knee the same height. Then to a Chudan level, just above the belt, and withdraw, making sure the ball of the foot hit the target each time. And on the withdrawal, making sure your knee doesn't drop. Then try touch the partner's chin. Now, almost everybody could get the knee and they could get the belt target, but they had a real problem trying to touch the chin. So what I advise them to do is push the standing knee forward when you're kicking. This gives you the extra space, also pushes your center of gravity forward. As the tendency for a high kick is to lean back, it will pull you away from the target. But if you push the knee forward, you're going to stay ahead of your support base and make your kick. And this is true of all kicks. Your weight needs to be on the kicking side of your support leg in any kick you do. Most people will lean away, particularly if they're starting a side kick. They even lean away in preparation rather than lifting straight up and pushing into the kick, which not only takes away distance, but it takes away power and any kind of effectiveness on your kick. So after we'd gone through all of which weapon we were going to use on the kick, how to snap the kick correctly, synchronizing the hips and the extension of the foot and knee position, I then decided we'd look at methods of delivery. So there's quite a few ways you can deliver a front kick, and we had a lot of fun with this. Of course, you can just do a straight front kick, right? Plant your left foot in your front stance and Hidari Zenkuts. Then you still need to rip your foot off the floor as fast as you can, raising the knee and then extending the foot from the knee with the hip power behind it, pendulum, the hip power behind it. Now the retraction, as you retract, it should straighten your body up so that you get into a stable position. Because the two conditions that we have when executing any technique are stability and mobility. Now, they are mutually opposite. You can't be stable and be mobile, all right? You're in motion, so you're not stable. Or you're stable, you're usually still and solid. So we want to get back to the solid part as quickly as we can, because being unstable leaves us very vulnerable and easy to sweep or knock over or susceptible to any kind of technique that comes at us. So what we want to do is try and get back to that stable position, that solid base as quickly as we can, and then we can move on to the next technique. And getting back to the solid base, we come into where do we make kime? Well, when you're making a kick, a snap kick, there's almost 2 points of kime. Kime, and breathe out as you snap your foot back. This brings you back to a stable position, but you're still only on one leg. You need to either drive backwards or drive your foot forwards to be in an absolutely stable position and strong, ready to receive something. So the kime on the snapback is to choose whether you go forward or whether you go back. And when we look at the word kime, some people have some esoteric meanings for this and all sorts of magic around it. But basically, the word comes from the base verb meaning to choose. Okay, so you choose where you're going to go after you've made kime. You can't just hold it. It's an instantaneous thing, and then you move on to your next technique or position or whatever you're going to do. So we make kime on the snapback, and then we either step down or step forward, or we can either go to the side, whatever you want. We use some taisabaki. And so we tried all these straight delivery methods. So kick my geri, step right back to your start position, punch as you land, kizami to stop anybody coming in and following your kick in. So we'd make a jab, if you like, of a boxing technique, or we call kizamizuki. So kick my geri, step back kizamizuki. You stop somebody following your kick and following the retraction of your leg in with an attack. Hopefully you'll be able to catch them at the kizami. Then we also did maigeri, then step forward, either oisuki or gyakuzuki, no problem, just watching your position all the way through the kick. So your front foot doesn't twist prematurely, or you don't take a premature step, right? We don't want any premature movements that would give away what technique we're going to do or what we want to do. We don't want to give our opponents any warning, so we practice looking him straight in the eyes and then snapping a kick out while he's not expecting it, or trying to see if he does expect it or not. So this was another drill we worked on, and we went on from there. It was quite entertaining. We also did maigeri and then pivot on the retraction so that you're out of the way of a follow-up attack. So you pivot on the retraction so that you're in maybe a 90-degree angle to the opponent coming back in on you. This works well as well. And so we had a lot of fun with this drill, and it was really hot the day I decided to, go through the anatomy of kicks. And we're only on the front snap kick right now. So then we started to look at delivery methods. Now, when I say delivery methods, we're going to snap your foot out and make you kick. But preparatory to that, we could say put the front foot forward, immediately bring the back foot up, and then kick again with the front foot. Okay, so this is like a shuffle step, a 1-2 kick. So if you're in Hidari Zenkutsu, which is left leg forward, you bring your back leg up fast, plant it, and then kick with the left leg really fast. It's a really good technique. I've used it in competition. I've had some of my team members used it, been quite successful, got, scored with it, put the kick right in wherever they wanted it. It works really well. Of course, we also had kizami-geri, which we used the same way. We either just kick with the front leg to stop somebody running in at you, or you can use it as an attack-in. Now, if you want to see anybody who was very good at kizami-geri, then look up Master Tanaka, because he was brilliant at it. And I was lucky enough to train with him a couple of times. And he even trained at our dojo one particular time. He was in Calgary. And that guy knew how to kick. He was amazing at kicking. He used to use like a hikiashi, where you just slide back slightly on his front leg and you get the kick in amazingly fast. You got to get them so that you don't just lift the knee and then try to snap it from there. You almost have to pull the foot back. So imagine if you're standing with your foot almost underneath a football, like a soccer ball. Instead of just raising your foot and kicking it, pull back away from the ball and like kick over it. So that works. Or your foot's under a log, something like that. But as you lift, pull back. You also have to tense the front hip when you're doing this so that you can pull up with your abs and your glutes. If you try to do it from slack, it's not going to work. You're just kind of stomping your foot. Okay, so we worked on that. So that was kizami-geri. That was another delivery method we had of it. So apart from the basic front kick, from back leg position, return back leg position, and then front kick, step forward to the opposite stance, and then step up and kick, keeping the same height, of course, as you go through. Try to keep your hips level so that you can get maximum extension on them when you're pendulum them forward when coordinating your hips with your knee snap to get the most juice behind it. And of course, we were using all ball of foot. One other kick we did was, and Terry O'Neill used to do this a lot, and I trained with Terry a lot, and it was one of his favourite kick ways of delivering my geri. He'd raise the knee and kind of skip forward on the support leg so that the snap of his kick coincided with the end of his travel. Now, this is a fantastic way of adding 3 or 4 feet to your kick and your distance. And if somebody's not expecting it, it can be quite devastating. So it's almost like a skipping kick, right? I just call it like a travel my geri. It works for me. And everybody had a lot of fun with that. If you're susceptible to blisters or you got some wussy kids who haven't really hardened their feet up yet, may not be the best thing. But get them into the idea of skipping forward. And we use the same drill on the ladder. We do ladder drills to warm up. And what we'll do is we'll skip into the next section of ladder, snap your kick at the same time. Down, skip into the next section of ladder, kick and down. So it takes a little bit of coordination, but it's amazing how much speed you get on your kick because you got to coordinate the travel of your body along with the snap of the kick so that it all lands at the same time. I just clap my hands there and kind of demonstrating to myself. So that was another way of delivering a front kick. And of course then we had to get into toby geri, which is a jumping kick. So there's lots of ways and I know lots of instructors have different methods of teaching jumping kicks, but basically I'll have them perform a maigeri and hold it at the chamber position and then jump up with your support leg and make your kick before the other foot touches the floor. All right, or if possible, try to do them both in the air. So you get 2 kicks in the air. So toby maigeri, it's a great drill. It's a real high cardio drill to push and it works very well. So just to revise, we went through the track of the kick, raising the knee so your foot clears your opponent's knee. You're not just going to slam your foot into his knee and break all your toes. Pull back the toes to expose the ball of the foot, which is quite hard. It's almost like a knuckle. And then keeping it on a level so that you can deliver your kick to the target you want. And getting to the target you want by either pushing the supporting knee forward for Jordan so that you make it and not leaning back away from it, and then using the drills with grasping the ankles. I'm sure a lot of instructors have already done this. So the final drill we did was one I did many years ago. I had the opportunity to teach an RCMP course in Regina, which is the RCMP headquarters for Canada. And what they were describing was certain situations that they had. And a lot of these guys, they're up north in the rough towns. And eventually one of our instructors, a guy called Bob Fraser, ended up as a sergeant in the RCMP. He holds the record for most arrests in a 24-hour period. And in conjunction with that record, he had a fight for every one of those arrests. And anyway, that was Bob's story. But what we determined was people come really close. And most people are reluctant to kick from that close. But they're always taught to put their hands out in front of them, like the proverbial fence that I always tell my students to use in self-defense situations. There's your fence. Somebody tried to get past your fence, you're entitled to do what you need to do. So the fence is out there, hands are out in front, and most of these people who are trying to cause trouble, they try to move that fence, so they'll grab your hands or something like that. Now, you're at a really close distance. So what we practiced was making a maigeri where both of your hands are caught up, and we did it by putting our hands on the other person's shoulder and then trying to deliver maigeri with as much juice as you can to the target. And the target would be just the top of the abdomen so that you're driving the diaphragm upwards below the ribs. So you just go below the ribs, center position, ball of foot, drive the kick upwards. It's going to take all his wind out. It definitely will take all his wind out if you've got enough juice in it. However, you got to really watch the position of your hips when you're trying to deliver this kick. And we had a lot of fun getting that. Some people can't get it. Some people got it immediately. You got to really drop your weight down on your support leg and then flick your hip as fast as you can, keeping the knee as close to you as you can when you snap your foot. So anyway, it's an interesting way of delivering a front kick. And it's more or less from the same distance as a straight punch. You should be able to kick just as hard, if not harder, from that position with enough practice. So it was worth practicing. It was a good drill. So as I say, we only did 3 kicks in almost 2 hours. So that was what we did with the front kick. Now, I'm sure you could all do the same thing. Go through the anatomy of the kick. Look at the weapon you're using. You can either use the ball of the foot, top of the foot, or the heel, kakato. Kakato mostly for thrust kicks, top of the foot. Yeah, sport kicks. You could knock somebody out with it, but there's lots of small bones in the top of your foot, and I broke them many times. I have real bad trouble with the bones in my feet these days. And of course you have blade of the foot, sakuto, for side snap kicks and stuff like this. So anyway, that was what we did for a class, and everybody in class enjoyed it. We'll probably go through a little bit of revision and start to do the same thing for other kicks, mawashi, ushiro, uramowashi, yoko, geri, kikomi, kiagi, all the ways we can have a look at these kicks. I'm just going to put this in. One kick I do not like, and I think it's absolutely silly, is this so-called scorpion kick you see in sports karate. Now, another thing I just came across today, I was just looking at a post, and one guy says, martial artists these days, he said, are way better than martial artists in the old days because they have access to much more scientific knowledge, dietary information, visual information, media information from the internet and everything. They can look how something's done and all the rest of it. And they have a much better, highly technical way of training. He did also give kudos to old-fashioned martial artists who did it, through sheer grit and guts. I agreed with him to a certain extent, but the longevity of the sport's so-called martial artists is minimal compared to somebody like myself who's brought up in the traditional martial arts. I have a quite open mind about all styles. Styles is nothing really. You have to respect the guy's time in the field. And anybody who's spent 40 or 50 years in it, believe me, he's a martial artist. Unless you're in it for money. If you're in it for money, then I've got no respect for you, because you're probably not teaching anything decent. You may win a load of medals, you may win a load of trophies, but you're not a martial artist as far as I'm concerned. You're just in it for pecuniary gain. A true martial artist, we have a non-profit dojo. We have mostly all non-profit dojos, to be honest with you, but they're all set up so that they're self-supporting. And if you're any good and you're teaching the right stuff, then it's going to be self-supporting, okay? It's not there to support you. It's there to support what you teach and what you train for, all right? And that should be the way it is all the way around, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, going back to the remarks about 10 reasons why new martial artists are better than 10 reasons why old martial artists, need the respect. I thought it was quite an interesting post. It was on Alfie Lewis's page on Facebook, if you're interested. Alfie Lewis was a famous points fighter in Liverpool. He won world championships after world championships. But he was also extremely open-minded. He trained with Terry O'Neill and Gary Spears and all the guys that we all know so well from those days. Tough guys, could really do the business, and they made sure that everybody knew they could do the business. And if it works fast, it works. If it doesn't work fast, it doesn't work. That's my opinion of it. But I say, yeah, they do have a lot more access to modern training procedures and methods. I mean, if you look at the way world records are broken in Olympics, they're broken almost every time you have an Olympics. It's because the people are training better. But they do have the benefit of better nutrition, better training methods, and all this. But that doesn't mean to say that those people are artists, all right? And this is the objection I had. Being an artist is subjective. Art is subjective, right? What we look upon, what I look upon as art may not be what you look upon as art. It's like trying to compare, say, a David Hockney painting with a Botticelli. They're both art. Botticelli didn't have access to all of the education and everything else that Hockney had, and or the background, or all of this stuff, the modern paints and the makeup and all the rest of it. But that doesn't mean to say that he never produced art. Of course he did. And when you look at, modern artists as compared to old artists, there's a lot to be admired in both. And I say, anybody who's been around 40, 50 years or more, then they deserve all the respect you can give them. And forget the style. That's just the way it is. Okay, so that's anything from me. Feel free to comment or question. I'm always available. Have a great day. Take care.